Ladies and gentlemen, it is Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time here in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, FifthDimensionRadio.com, and it's time for 10 Cent Beer Night, the official sports show. I'm Seth,
I'm Bob.
and back with us since the second week of December, it's been a month, is Bob. So here you go, Bob is back. He's feeling good, he's doing well. He seems to be. There you go, so Bob. Real quick, Bob, because you are on a high school basketball schedule here for FifthDimensionRadio.com. By the time they hear this, tomorrow's game will be done. But what's the tomorrow's game in the next game?
Well, we're going to be at Walsh Jesuit High School tomorrow night, Tuesday night.
Yeah.
And they're playing Villa Angeles St. Joe's. So it's the parochial battle. Parochial battle at the Dome. You know, I never knew they called that. I know the Walsh Jesuits has their basketball arena is a round building, but I never knew they called it the Dome.
The Dome.
So the arena is called the Dome. So, but it will be there. And then the following week, we're going to be at Norton. Norton versus Streetsboro.
There you go. So if you're listening here and you're a Norton Streetsboro alum, that's going to be that coming up Tuesday. Then, so here. Tune in then. And what time are usually the games and all that?
Well, estimate time tip-off is 7 o'clock. Now, sometimes it gets a little later start. Sometimes it gets a little earlier start. It all depends. They run the JV games, and a lot of times the freshman game will be first, and then the JV game, and then, of course, the varsity comes in afterwards. So, estimate time, pregame is at 6:45. That's an estimate time. It could be 7 o'clock.
Right.
So, well, like I said, play it by ear. Just turn on WW. Turn on Fifth Dimension Radio, and of course, when you hear the intro, you know the game's coming on. So
there you go. So yeah, pay attention on Facebook too, the Fifth Dimension page and the 10 Cent Beer Night page. That we'll have updates there about times and everything. So it's something to look forward to.
But like I said, all the times are usually they're an estimate time.
There you go. So yeah, I know with basketball it varies compared to football where we had a set schedule and everything, and Friday nights too. And now these are Tuesday, or
Tuesday night game of the week.
Yep. So there you have it there. We last week, Bob, you weren't with us, but the Cleveland Browns made a decision with the head coach. So I spent 2 segments on that. So we're going to hold off on that for now. We got to talk MLB Hot Stove, Bob. But spring training's around the corner. We got you back. And, I mean, it's...
Me back?
Yeah, the baseball guy.
I really
yeah.
haven't fallen anymore. I'm retired. Come on.
Well, still, but, I mean, it's been out of sports, that's been the biggest part of your life. It's the one you know the best. And I know you get excited when spring training comes. I mean, that'll be here in about a month.
February 15th.
Yeah, there you go. See, he knows the date.
Pitchers and catchers.
I always know it's around Valentine's Day, but he knows the date. And, I mean...
Well, let's put it this way. The Guardians and the Reds report on the 15th. There's some teams that report a little later, like the 17th and 16th, but I know the Guardians and the Reds are the 15th and 15th.
There you go. Speaking of that, we'll get to both the Guardians and Reds in a little bit here. I want to break down to you the biggest moves that are made since the holiday season. We're going back about 3 weeks. So some of it might not be new, but to us, we're going to bring it up anyway. We're going to start with the Red Sox trade for Wilson Contreras. This was a very interesting move here. I like him. Now they're talking about him going to first base, not catcher.
Right.
But so with what you get there with the Red Sox is... See, with catcher, he was a great defense catcher, but you have a mix of slugging and average.
Well, he can hit.
Yeah.
He can hit.
This is like a 265, 275 hitter. He'll get you 15, 17 home runs and like 60 to 75 RBIs. It usually doesn't go above those numbers I just said, but this is a middle-of-the-order guy with a little bit of pop. And now, this guy was with the Cardinals since Molina retired, and now... no longer. He's now with the Red Sox there. We have the other ones there. Mariners side Rob Refsnyder. They're that infielder, a solid infielder there. A's trade for Jeff McNeil. You want to talk about a solid second baseman bat. And of course, the Mets had made a move earlier. to let me see.
You know-
They replaced was it? Let's see. No. Oh no, they signed Jorge Polanco. That's what it was.
Yeah,
They
Polanco.
signed Jorge Polanco. The Mets did, and they did lose. Pete Alonso signed a massive deal with the Baltimore Orioles too, as well. That
I'm gonna
needs
tell you what, that could be a good move for Baltimore.
yeah. No, I like see Alonso. I mean, this is a 220 hitter that gives you 40 plus home runs. Hopefully, it pans out. The last time they gave a slugger that kind of deal was Chris Davis, and that did not pan out.
Right.
No, that was
I think he's gonna work in Baltimore. I really do.
Yeah. Brandon Nemo also got traded to the Rangers, and these are all the Mets moves there. And Edwin Diaz left for the Dodgers. So the Mets, I mean, it's a whole different situation there in New York for the Mets. But Jeff McNeil going to the A's there for prospects and everything. And I did hear, I guess they're shooting the rumor down, but I don't know if you heard this, but I guess Lindor's name was popped because supposedly him and Soto don't get along. It was the rumor.
I've heard that rumor.
What was interesting, Bob, is Lindor's name gets brought up. It's like, where could he get traded? All right. There was some bigger names. You know, you had the Yankees get brought up. You had the Red Sox. There were some analysts that said, you know what, the one team I'd put money on, he said, don't be surprised if there's a reunion between him and Cleveland if there was a trade.
I would love to see it.
And they said he would be happy. And they said the Guards have enough prospects to trade back to them that it's just a bigger win for the Mets.
I would love to see it, but I'd love to see it, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No. Excuse me. I don't think it's going to happen either. Let me see here. We'll get to the Reds and the Guards acquisitions and accusations here in a sec. Zach Eflin, a good starting pitcher for the Orioles, actually re-signed with Baltimore. He was traded to Baltimore last trade deadline. We talked about that when it went down. It's a solid starting pitcher. And again, he was in Tampa. He had a good first season. The second season wasn't doing so hot, and he did do better with Baltimore when he got traded. Amed Rosario, former Cleveland Guardian, is going back to the Yankees. He was signed right there. So, I mean, that's a decent bat off the bench for the Yankees. Again, he kind of moves around there. You got Blue Jays signed one of the top Japanese players in Kazuma Okamoto. The top Japanese one, the third baseman, I don't have him in front of me. I can look it up in a sec. Signed a 2-year deal with the White Sox out of everybody. Some people were, I don't know if you heard about that.
No, I didn't hear about that one.
I'll pull that up here.
The White Sox.
Yes, he did. And I'll tell you why here in a sec.
Well, is there a big Japanese population in Chicago?
No,
I don't know.
Mentaka Murakami signed. He was the top Japanese free agent in Major League Baseball this year. Usually, the joke was, did the Dodgers finally let one go? Because usually they pick him up. Slugger, some good power. There was a rumor out there, anything 88 plus speed, he had a hard time hitting. So that's why there was hesitation. And the White Sox took it was like a 2-year, $19 million deal. So it wasn't anything compared to them. That's medium.
Well, they don't have. I mean, they're anything for the White Sox going to be improvement.
Right.
Because they're bad. I mean, they're bad.
That was the big that was kind of the attitude about that. It was to help just bring more how should I say the fans some more morale. You know, it was kind of like, okay, something to look forward to, because there's not a lot to look forward to in the next year. But I will say, with some of the prospects being called up, I think slowly they will be easier to watch there. But other than that, it is what it is. Giants did sign Tyler Mahle, good starting pitcher right there. Big news, because this is a hot thing, is where teams sign their top prospects to huge extensions now. A's did sign Tyler Soderstrom to a 7-year extension. He's played very well for them thus far in his early career. He'll be entering year 3 or 4 here. Angels did sign Kirby Yates. He had a short term with the Dodgers there last year. Was not very involved in the playoffs though. A little bit, but not critical. Rockies signed former Reds pitcher Michael Lorenzen
yeah.
there. So a move made by D. Podesto, former Browns whatever you call him. Even Andrew Barry couldn't tell us what he did, but he was there. He was there.
A logistics guy.
Logistics guy there. Yeah, absolutely.
They still do logistics in baseball. I remember one time Billy Bean or whatever. That was a big thing.
Yeah. The Orioles did also trade for Taylor Ward. This was a little bit back, but that's another move that could help him there. A very tough player there. The big news here: a lot of players avoided arbitration, including Stephen Kwan.
He signed a 1-year extension or 1-year deal. So.
Yep, $7.5 million there.
My thing is, after this year, we gonna be able to keep him.
Right.
That's my thing.
Well, rumor has it Dolans are on their way out soon, so that means possibly more money coming in, so that'll be good. Pirates did officially sign Ryan O'Hearn. That's a good signing for them.
Good signing.
Pirates have had a pretty solid offseason so far, trading for, his name's slipping my mind, the second baseman that was with the Rays, Brett,
I can't think of it either.
I would have to look at it, but a slugger. They traded for, but O'Hearn. I mean, this is a mix of contact, average, and power there. Brandon Lowe. Okay, yeah. They've acquired some good pitching there. They did a trade with Boston there. And then, they got Brandon Lowe and Jake Mangum from the Rays in a trade. So, they've been very, very good. Here's the big news that happened this past weekend. Alex Bregman is off the board. He signed a 5-year deal with the Chicago Cubs. So, 5 years, $175 million.
That'd be a good fit for him.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there is an opt-out. Because that was the thing with him in Boston is there was an opt-out. So he opted out, and then he signed with Chicago now here. And I don't see it say so. This might be him locked in finally, which is good because the opt-outs. You can only do so many, and then teams will get paranoid that you're just going to get up and leave. But
personally, I don't think there should be any opt-outs. You're in.
People made the comment. Red Sox do it because Red Sox GM's under the bus over there. I said it's thrown under the bus by the fans, not literally under a bus. But he gets Bregman, all right? Rafael Devers gets mad because they said, we want you to move to a different position. Doesn't like that, demands a trade, gets traded to the Giants, and then Bregman leaves. So they lost out on both of them, in part because of that opt-out, too. So,
you sign a contract with a team that you honor that contract until the time to go.
Right.
If you don't like it, tough. I'll tell you what, 50, 60 years ago, a player comes up to, I want traded, you ain't going nowhere. If you want traded, I'll make sure you ain't going nowhere.
Right. So there you go. Real quick, Bob, a couple moves for the Reds within the past 3 weeks. They signed Michael Chavis to a minor league deal. Decent player, so I'm going to give it a shot. One move was they signed J.J. Bleday to a 1-year deal. He was with the A's. Solid player,
A's,
not the biggest average, but he can hit it over the fence at times.
Hey, speaking of the A's, we're gonna go talk about A's for a second.
Yeah.
Did you see where the city of Oakland or whatever they call them now, the A's? Of course, they're moving to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
They're trying to stop the name change going over there. The people do not want athletics A's in Las Vegas.
No.
So we could have a new name for the.
Well, they couldn't get the copyright.
Yeah, something like I know. So possible there's going to be a change of a name. So, yeah. But I think they should carry on the athletics. They've been the athletics since the days of Philadelphia.
Well, they carried on the Raiders, so it's only fair. I don't like the move at all, personally, but it is what it is. It's already official, and I know that over there in Oakland, that ownership just kind of.
Well, that ownership is what screwed the program up. Right. That's why they moved. I believe the city had something to do with that too, because they didn't want to help with the Coliseum. They didn't want to fix that Coliseum up.
No. This is the municipal city stadium all over again, pretty much. No, it really is a place that held both football and baseball, and the city when it held. Yeah, this just the only difference is, thank God, Baltimore. As much as I don't like them, did not carry the Browns name. That would have been a problem.
Well, we didn't let them.
Yeah.
We did not let them. You know, when that was agreement that we keep the Browns. If the Browns ever come back, they'd be the Browns back in Cleveland.
Yeah.
That was agreement. Cause I'm sure Art Modell would have loved to had Baltimore Browns.
You're right.
I'm sure. I'm willing to bet you that.
Right. There you go. Reds did acquire outfielder Dane Mays from the from the Marlins, a prospect. You know, somebody with some speed and whatnot. They did avoid arbitration with Brady Singer. They did sign Michael Toglia, who was with the Rockies last year, to a minor league deal. They did sign Garrett Hampson, Josh Stoutman, Brandon Lightbrand to minor league contracts. Those were all guys they had last year. And then today they signed Pierce Johnson to a $6.5 million deal.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, this was just a couple hours ago. So this is a guy. Last year he played for Atlanta. He went 3 for 3 with a 3.05 ERA. I'll be honest, I can't tell if he's a starter or not. Let me
I
see
think
here.
he was more of a bench guy.
A bullpen guy.
He
was a former first-round pick back in 2012. So he's been around for a while. Yeah, so I think this is a bullpen guy.
He's a bullpen guy.
Yeah, so a good addition for Tito Francona there. So, and then real quick, we'll do the Guardians there, which is not a lot to talk about.
No,
they did some weird things, like they did send Joan Kenzie Noel Christmas designated for assignment. He was claimed by the Orioles. Orioles designated him for assignment yesterday. Okay. They have signed Sean Armstrong within the past 3 weeks. He restarted his career in Cleveland, and they traded to the Blue Jays for money Justin Brehill, the lefty relief pitcher, designated him for assignment, and then Cardinals acquired him and then designated Zach Kent for assignment. So I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. They are bringing back Pedro Avila, who they had a few years ago. But, and they agreed to Cody Here, who is a relief pitcher for the Cubs for a minor league deal. That is it. That is the guards.
We haven't done much. Guardians had not made very many moves.
No, and I thought at least for starting pitchers.
And I really think that we do have a great farm system. And I think that's what they're relying on, is the young kids coming up doing their thing. So.
Right. Well, like I said, most of the offense is pretty much here that just needs to develop. I thought they'd do a little bit more with the pitching, but it is what it is. But there's still some of the top free agents are still available. Right, not saying they'll go get them, but Bo Bichette's name's been dropped on a wish list for. I brought that up, but a lot of more. It's starting to heat up. That's an idea. Should they pursue it? But I don't know if they're going to pursue it there. But we do need to take a break, Bob. When we come back, we're going to talk Cavs. We're going to talk Browns head coach. We're going to talk college football championship. That and more. Stay tuned. And welcome back to Ted Step Beer Night here on FifthDimensionRadio.com. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
It won't be breaking news to you while we hear it, but it'll be breaking news to us but while it's come up. We were just talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. A legend of theirs has just passed away at 86 years old. Dave Geisty, excuse me. He was a one-time All-Star. He helped them win the World Series in 1971. Pitcher. In the 70s, we're talking way back. He played for Houston in the 60s.
Houston Colt 45s.
And his last season was 1977, but he was a key part of them winning the World Series way back. So that was a very, very. Obviously they won the World Series, but that was a very good Pirates team, and they still talk about that to this day. So condolences there. But I just saw that pop up on my MLB feed there. Last week for the Cavaliers, they went 2-1. Okay, they beat the Pacers the first game. They lost they played Timberwolves back to back. Lost the first one, 122 to 131, and that was a little rough because they led most of that. Came back Saturday at home, won 146 to 134, played much better there. And by the time you hear this, they'll be underway with the 76ers, but they will have played the Jazz on Monday. That's why I'm wearing the Kevin Love jersey. Kevin Love comes back to Cleveland to play for the Jazz there. That's the Canton charge, Bob. The other games for the Cavs this week, 76ers in Philly on Wednesday and Friday, both. They're in Philadelphia.
2 days, both days in Philadelphia?
Yep. So they don't have to leave. They'll take Thursday off. Both games will be broadcast on ESPN. So there you go. And then by the time for our next 10-cent beer night, Monday against the Thunder on Martin Luther King Day, because Martin Luther King Day, so the NBA, all NBA teams play on Martin Luther King Day. NBC, 2:30 p.m. So while I'll be while we'll be filming the next show, the Cavs will be playing. So that's gonna be weird. So I could give you live updates there. Bob will not be here in the next show.
Yeah, I'll be coaching my bowling team in the MLK tournament at Akron Spins Bowl.
There you go. So Bob, the coach of the Barberton Magics for bowling team, and wish you the best there, Bob. I mean,
yeah, we'll be okay.
Yeah. They're working hard.
I'll tell you what, I got some kids that are really listening. They're really improving. And I'll tell you what, it's sad because I don't know if I'll be back next year with this group. And I got a young group. I got 6 freshmen and 2 juniors. So they'll all be back next year. But I don't know if I'm going to be back. I haven't decided yet. We'll at the end of the season we'll decide. But these kids are I really enjoy being with them this year. So.
Awesome.
Let's talk about bowling.
Okay. We're going to switch gears to college basketball. There, Ohio State went 1-2 last week. They lost to they were a higher number last week, but number 10 Nebraska last week, 69-72, an absolute close battle. Did not pull it off. They then Thursday, January 8th, they played Oregon at Eugene, and they lost. They won 72-62. Played very well there. And then this past Sunday, they were at Washington over there in the Pacific West, and then they lost 74-81. That game kind of went back and forth there, and then Washington broke off late and came back and took the lead and never looked back. So this week, they only play Saturday. It's in Columbus against UCLA, 1 p.m. on CBS there. And then until our next 10-cent beer night, they will play the following Tuesday, January 20th, in Columbus against Minnesota, Big Ten Network there. So that's Ohio State. Right now, Ohio State's 11-5. Not bad. You know what? A little better than I thought they were going to be at this point. And some of their losses they've taken against the good teams, I brought up they lost to Pittsburgh. We're going back in November by 1. They lost to North Carolina by 1, and they've lost to Nebraska by 3. So these are all close games. So they are overall playing very well right now. We turn our attention there to the Akron Zips for last week. They did go 2-0. They beat Central Michigan in Akron 82-69. And then Friday they were at Bowling Green and they won 77-67. This week, by the time you hear this, you'll know the result. But Tuesday they are in Akron against Ball State. And that will be on ESPN Plus there. And then Saturday, they are in Akron against Western Michigan, 2 p.m. on ESPN Plus. And then the following Tuesday, before our next 10-cent beer night, they are at on the 20th. They're at Buffalo, 6:30 p.m. on ESPN Plus there. So got some MAC games coming up there. 12-4.
The ratings, ratings we'll say for the mid college rankings came out.
Yeah.
And Akron was 6th.
There you go.
They were 6th in the mid. And I don't understand how the Gonzaga or whatever how you pronounce it, they're number 1. I mean, they're always a national powerhouse.
Right, but they're still in the mid.
Yeah, they're a mid.
I don't think they even have a football team.
No, I don't think they either. But you know what? Miami, Miami of Ohio, they're 16-0,
Yeah.
and they're not ranked in the mid majors. I don't.
It might be their schedule there. They're 17-0. Yeah, let's. I'm gonna pull up their schedule here. Oh yeah, they didn't play anybody. Akron's actually. We were talking about earlier.
Well, we
Akron's
play Purdue and
Miami, Ohio play. I mean, Air Force is the only name they beat that is like a name, but they played Old Dominion.
Yeah, but they're dominating. The three teams they played in the MAC, they dominated.
They did, yeah. And they played well against Akron too. They played Old Dominion. They played Trinity in Illinois, Mercyhurst, Arkansas Pine Bluff, UNCG, Indiana East, Maine, UNC Asheville, Eastern Kentucky. Not East. That's
what is it?
Yeah, it is Eastern Kentucky. Never mind.
The Buccaneers.
Milligan. And they are 5-0 in the MAC. I'll give them the MAC credit, but Akron actually played teams before, and this is why, Bob, I say I like them playing tougher teams before. They get more recognition. And I did see ESPN2's analyst. He had his mid-major rankings up, and he had Akron 7th. And and I read. I think you're gonna like this, Bob. Something came out this week, and they were interviewing. They had to stay anonymous because of some of the good comments, but they didn't want too much praise going to Akron. They were ranking programs. It was a CBS Sports it was some college football mainstream media source, and they're ranking from conference top programs. Akron was, by coaches and what they voted and players on that, Akron was number 1 in the MAC, and the reason is the coaches are giving John Gross all the credit, saying they got a new practice facility now, which I didn't know, but they do. And they said they have the most. We were talking about, you've had an issue with the NIL talk and the conversation in the smaller schools. They said Akron basketball has the most NIL money and flexibility out of all the schools in the MAC. He said that's why they've been able to land some of these players from these bigger schools, because they have money to use. And they said,
well, let's hope we can get it for the football program.
Yeah. And we'll get to that in a sec, because they're signing a lot of guys, and there have been some transfers, and a lot of stuff's been brought up of late. But so that's what a lot of people. But that says a lot about John Gross and his program there. And right now they are playing very well.
Keith Damrot built that program.
Right.
John just made it better.
He built it on top of he
made it better.
And the other thing too is Keith. I love Keith Damrot. I always will. He also went and got guys that fit his system, but he had also a hard time selling to some of the bigger prospects. I don't know, the details of that. Gross had been, he was a Big Ten coach for a minute. He had his time in the MAC too. He had other connections.
Well, he was with the OU Bobcats.
Yeah, he was with the Bobcats.
And he led them to some.
He led to the Sweet 16.
Final 8 or
maybe the Elite 8. Yeah, you're right.
They went to Elite 8.
I think it was Sweet 16 because
I think it's 16.
Penn State's Elite 8 is still the longest.
Yeah. They went to 16. Well, still for a MAC school, that's pretty good.
Right. He got the Illinois job right after that. Yeah.
Took the Illinois job. I think he was in Illinois a couple years before he came back to Akron.
3 years. Yeah, and then he was gone.
But he's done a great job. He's done a great job at Akron. It seemed like the players love him. He gets along with everybody. But Keith Damrot, I seen the improvement because I've been a season ticket holder down for Zips now for 25, 30 years. I mean, it's been a long time, and I've seen a lot of improvement when Damrot came in. But then when John Gross came in, especially with talent, he started bringing in bigger names kids than Gross, Damrot. I mean, Keith will always remember. I think Keith still leads he's the all-time winningest coach at Akron U. I don't know. I think he is. I know Gross just took over number 3 as a Zips all-time winner. So, passed up. I can't remember who he passed up, but he's built a good program there, and I'm looking forward to. My goal with the Akron U, I want to see him get to the NCAA tournament. Of course, we all do. I want to see him get to the next round.
Right.
I have never seen them go to the next round. They get eliminated usually in the first round, and I think this could be the year that happens.
I really
believe this could be the year. So Let's hope.
So there you go. So yeah, I was reading on because Akron News announcing a ton more signees and whatnot, and then transfers of the smaller schools. The big schools can't happen until after the championship, which we do need to bring up. Our championship's officially set. Indiana Hoosiers and
I'm gonna
Miami
tell you
Hurricanes.
what. I think Indiana's gonna win it all.
I think I because I'm so Ohio State, I'll cheer for Miami just so another Big Ten team doesn't win. But I'll give Indiana credit where credit's due.
No, I think Indiana. But you know what? The protocol, the IL, whatever it is, that's what made Indiana.
Right,
All these transfers coming into Indiana.
right, absolutely.
You know, they have 17 starters this year that they didn't have the year before.
Right. So I mean,
That's what you're going to see more and more teams doing that.
you know, the more the merrier, I would say. Just changing it up, you know, and it makes you feel better as a Buckeyes fan because these are the two teams they lost to. So it's like, well, they at least lost to the best. You know what I mean? Like everybody else they beat, but they lost to the best.
I don't think we could have beat. We should have lost to Miami. I really.
They should not have lost to Indiana either, but missed kicks. But I'll give Indiana. I'm not taking away from their either team's wins against Ohio State. They both earned it. They both played very very well, and I'll tell you, Mazzardo, he will be the first overall pick to the Raiders for sure. That quarterback, regardless of who wins the national championship. And I will tell you, the first thing I was mad at the Buckeyes. I know you missed it, but I watching the Buckeyes game, I was mad. But I'm watching that Miami O-line, and I'm going, these guys are good at the O-line. I said, Browns, I hope you're watching, because I said this O-line is fair. I mean, the one guy is predicted to be a top 7 pick. So the one tackle for Miami, but the other ones I was watching, and I don't know who's all going to the draft, or we don't know it yet. I do know for the Browns, Everell Reese and Cardell Tate did announce they are going to the draft. Those guys are predicted to be top 10 picks. They said Reese, the linebacker, if the Titans or Giants would have got the first overall pick, he probably would have went number 1 because they don't need a quarterback. So they're saying if non-quarterback needy team, that being the Giants and the Titans realistically, would have landed the first overall pick, that's probably where they would have went. So we almost got a Buckeye at number 1 overall, but it'll be the Heisman winner there. He'll go to the Raiders. That's going to be a done deal right there. But as far as I was going to talk about the Zips and the football and everything, I'm reading up a lot about this Jabari Riggins, this wide receiver 3-star prospect. They got big 6'2" and a kid out of Florida who picked Akron over the University of Florida.
Yeah.
They're talking about him already being a top 3 prospect in program history. They're raving about him. So Moorhead's got into, and I see a lot of 3-star, which that's big. You're not going to get the 5 stars in the MAC. I hate to say it, but if you get a lot of good 3, even 4 stars, I haven't seen many 4 stars, but Akron consistently has gotten the 1, the 2s, and a couple 3s. They've got a lot of 3-star prospects, and at the same time, does this mean anything? Not until they hit the field. But on paper, that means there's more interest in Akron. That means they're building, because these are the kids that are going to come up. A lot of these guys aren't going to transfer necessarily right away because they still have a lot to prove. It's not like the 5-star athlete not getting time his freshman year, he gets mad and he leaves, like Quinn Ewers did to Ohio State. And we found out later that didn't really matter because Quinn Ewers probably could not bring to the table what the other Ohio State quarterbacks at the time could. Yeah, I'm still a little salty about that, but we beat him in the semifinals last year, so we made our point.
But the kid turned down Florida.
Yeah, for Akron.
But the only thing I can think of that is he knows he's going to come to Akron. He's going to play right away. That's what I because Florida, he probably ride the bench for a while.
Be redshirted and whatnot.
Redshirted and stuff like that. So, and I try to tell these kids, especially in baseball, I try to tell the kids, go somewhere where you're going to play. Don't go to one of these big schools that's going to redshirt you.
Right.
That's going to make you sit the bench for a year because you got seniors that are ahead of you that's going to be playing. Go to somewhere that you're going to play. Don't be afraid to ask your coach, the coach when you're being interviewed at a college, when do you think I'll be able to get in? Don't be afraid to ask it. They'll tell you. Yeah, I got guys ahead of you, but maybe you can see some play in action, or I'll start you right now. Go somewhere you're gonna play.
Right, absolutely. And I'm reading here. I was looking at the transfer portals for some of these Zips have lost some good players from the portal in football. Julian LeVenture, who is a great D lineman, he's going to Texas Tech. You got Delvin Moore's interior offensive lineman. He's going to Northwestern. You got Messiah King, offensive tackle. He's going to Iowa State.
Well, see right there, you got guys leaving to go to bigger programs.
Which
They got their little time in Akron. They
Right.
got to play in Akron. Now these bigger schools want them because they seen them play.
But that never was the
that
case in Akron before.
No, I know, but
So that's telling me what kind of
it's the
talent he's
talent we're
bringing.
getting in Akron.
Right. I mean, Elijah Reed, cornerback, he's going to Utah now. Bruno Dahl, the defensive end, who is going to University of Central Florida.
That's a good.
Israel Polk Israel Polk, who was good for watching him on the field. He's going to Oklahoma State now. So yeah, some of these guys are leaving, but so I'll be curious to see where the what Akron gets in the transfer portal later. Again, we'll know within a week or the next couple weeks here.
Once the championship's over.
Yeah, absolutely. For Ohio State guys that left, Logan George, defensive end, is going to Washington, so he's going to stay in the division. Quincy Porter, wide receiver, he's going to Notre Dame. Of course, they're loaded at wide receiver, so there we go. Terry Moore, who is a safety, is going from Duke to Ohio State. So Ohio State's got a couple guys. Get this. Oh my goodness, I gotta look up to see if this is related to Earl Little. Do you remember Earl Little from the Browns?
Yeah.
In early 2000s? I don't know if this is any relation, but he's coming from safety, coming to Florida State to Ohio State. I'll see if there's a relation there. We got to take a break here, but we'll look at that. But yeah, there are some Ohio State guys that have left. I mean, some of the smaller ones, you know what I mean. But most of them are gonna stay. Ohio State's gonna load up too.
Well, the LIV or whatever they call that thing.
NIL, yeah.
NIL, it opened it up for everybody.
There you go. When we come back, we got to take a break. We'll give you the latest on the Browns head coach shirts, and then we'll make our playoff picks. We don't know who's winning between the team up east and the Texans, but I'll tell you early. We're talking Ohio State. I'm cheering for C.J. Stroud. We'll be back. All right, welcome back to 10 Cent Beer Night here on FifthDimensionRadio.com. I'm Seth.
Oh, I'm Bob.
You're Bob. Bob didn't know who I was talking about of this game that has not played yet by the time you hear this. And I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Houston Texans. I did pick the Texans to win, and I did talk to a nice Steelers fan last week, a guy that works at the gym I go to, and he said, yeah, we really need this. He goes, we really need this. So go CJ Stroud and the Texans. I'm cheering for you. I did pick you to win. I did. I got most part. So let's see. Oh wait, that's week 18. Never mind. This past Saturday, all my picks were right. I did have the Rams beating the Panthers. Panthers, don't you worry. You're going the right direction. That was a good game. That was a very good game on their part. And Panthers are going the right direction. And Rams, Rams are a good team, as we know. So just figure out. Let me see here. Rams would go on, and they're going to go play the Bears, who won also on in Green Bay the other night.
Yeah, they were down like 17 points.
Yeah, and they came back. I had the Bears winning that game, so I got that one right. We do have news. Green Bay's coach is expected to stay, because that was going to shake up things if he was going to get fired. And rumor had it that would have been probably the best option for the Browns, but unfortunately for Cleveland, Matt LaFleur is expected to take a contract extension. So, going into Sunday, I picked Jacksonville to win. Buffalo won by 3, 27-24. So go for Buffalo there. San Francisco beat Philly 23-19. Give San Francisco credit where credit's due. Unfortunately, it did cost them their tight end George Kittle with a Achilles tear. He is done for until next season. And then I had New England beating the Chargers. Chargers did not score a touchdown. They lost 16-3. So both Harbaughs are out. And when I mean out, I mean John Harbaugh was fired from the Ravens. Just because last time our last 10-cent beer night, we had about 5 of the coach firings announced. We did not hear about Mike McDaniel getting fired by the Dolphins and John Harbaugh getting fired by the Ravens.
I think Mike McDaniel is being interviewed by the Browns.
Yep, we'll get to that here shortly. Real quick for the divisional round of the playoffs there. Saturday, we will have the Buffalo Bills at the Denver Broncos in Denver. Bob, what are you thinking here?
Buffalo Bills at Denver?
Yep. 2 teams that know how to deal with the cold.
Well, I'm going to go with Denver.
I'm going to go with Denver, too. They're just the better team. I will say, if Buffalo wins this game, they're going to the Super Bowl. Because if you beat Jacksonville, the number 3, in my opinion, they were the number 2 in the country, but they took a loss late in the season that dropped them. But Jacksonville was so good this year.
Beginning of the season, I had Buffalo going to the Super Bowl.
Right.
They just ain't been impressing me lately. So
they're not what they did.
They're not what I thought they'd be.
Right.
I mean, they're winning. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I think Denver is a better team, especially being in Mile High in Denver.
Right. The other Saturday game, we have a rival matchup, a very good one. The number 1 seed Seattle Seahawks will be hosting the number 6 San Francisco 49ers. The last game of the season, Seattle beat up San Francisco. What do you think here,
I think
Bob?
Seattle's going to do it again.
You're going to go with...
I really believe Seattle's going to the Super Bowl.
I'm going with San Francisco here. And Bob, I wouldn't rule out this matchup resulting in the Super Bowl, the NFC winner, I should say, because I think you're onto something. I am going with San Francisco because I think they're going to get their revenge. I think they're going to try to win for George Kittle. And the fact they beat that Philly defense the way they did, I think they could beat the Seattle defense. Now, I will say Seattle's defense has been very good all year. Their offense, solid, but there's a way to beat them. And I think that's where I think San Francisco's defense is going to steal the show there. Sunday's game, you have the Rams at the Bears here. Not here, but in Chicago. Bob, what do you think?
Rams at the Bears. I'm going to take the Rams.
I'm going to take the Rams as well. I'm going to say experience over the younger team. I think the Bears have done very well. Their future is extremely bright, but most of this Rams team has already been here before and knows what to do. And I just think, Green Bay's defense was iffy all year long, which is partially why the Bears came back the way they did. And not to take away from their comeback, but I was not surprised when they came back. We'll put it that way. Well, the Rams defense is not going to make those mistakes, so I'm going to go with the Rams here. So, which would leave the Patriots are going to host either Houston or Pittsburgh in this one. And I'll tell you, whoever wins, I'm going to go with New England. Regardless who wins, you said Pittsburgh.
I'll go with New England.
Yeah, New England's just the better team at the end of the day between the 2 teams here. I picked Houston. I'm cheering for Houston. It's also because I don't like the Steelers, but I think C.J. Stroud is.
You can't do that. We got to be impartial here on Fifth Dimension Radio 10-cent beer night. We got to be impartial. Just because we don't like the Squealers, don't mean nothing.
Well, I logically picked Houston anyway.
Okay.
So there you go. I just think Houston's the better team at the end of the day.
Well, if I was here last week, I would have took Houston too.
So there you go. So Cleveland Browns have interviewed us a handful of coaches since we last talked. This is more like Bob had mentioned. Mike McDaniel.
I think he's being interviewed
right now.
Right
now as we speak. While we're taping this, not on Wednesday night. But Mike McDaniel, former Dolphins coach, is being interviewed. Here's the pros and cons here, Bob, with this one. One is he's been here before. He was the wide receiver coach for Mike Pettin until he left. I don't know if he left with Kyle Shanahan, but Kyle Shanahan left for Atlanta, and then when Kyle Shanahan was hired at San Francisco as the head coach, he brought McDaniel as the O coordinator there. McDaniel was the one that wrote up the 32-page reasons that Shanahan wanted out of his contract in Cleveland. So he knew that there was problems there, and this was the Haslam era. But here's where the good stuff comes with McDaniel. is he's a great play caller. He would call plays. The Miami's passing and running game did not miss a beat at all when he was down there. They were still one of the top tier ones, even with all the injuries and everything. On top of that, though, I'll tell you, my issue. He's very, very high football IQ, very smart coach. My issues with him is I think he gets too relaxed. He's not the coach that's going to yell at you. He's the kind of he wears sweats to practice. Okay, I'm weird about that. This isn't you at home. So like if you go to practice, I'm not saying you have to wear a suit and tie, but you should wear attire that's like, hey, I'm the coach. What I say goes, instead of, hey guys, time to relax. Time to get into practice mode. And I think he gets a little just too chill. I like a motivator. I like somebody that lights a fire up people's asses if necessary. I do like the idea if we go another direction, head coach, if we paid McDaniel good money to be O coordinator, I would take that. But as far as head coach, I mean, he did some good things in Miami. Unfortunately, he never got over the hump. And this is the other thing that bothered me. And I don't know if it was the players. Bob, later in the season, especially in the cold games, he had a terrible losing record. And it's like in Cleveland, you got to know how to win in the cold. And I think a lot of our players practice in the cold. They adapt to the cold. And I think that may have been the thing they didn't have in Miami that hurt them. But at the same time, it's like you also got to finish better than what you started. And his first halves were always better than his second halves, and I don't like that. There's got to be a balance, or the second half's got to be way better than the first. Other guys, last week they interviewed Todd Monken, Ravens O coordinator. Right now, still the Ravens O coordinator, but depending where John Harbaugh goes, he could go. Monken was Freddie Kitchens' O coordinator here in Cleveland, but he never called plays. At Baltimore, he called plays. A lot of people like his high vertical passing play calls. So that's where Cleveland had some interest there with him at head coach. Seattle Seahawks, I was just raving about their defense, Bob. They interviewed Aiden Durde, their defensive coordinator for the position. English guy. Okay? So a little different there. The only issue I have with him is, okay, defense was good. He doesn't call plays in Seattle, Bob. Mike McDonald, the head coach, calls the defensive plays. So I'm sitting here going...
Why have a defensive coordinator if you don't let him call the plays?
Right.
But I don't understand that.
Here's the upside. They're saying no matter who's head coach, Jim Schwartz is expected to stay. So if this guy's used to not calling plays and not pressure to call plays, and he just has Schwartz call the plays, and let's say he's just he could be a potential better head coach, and he is a head coach prospect, that might not be a bad idea. And the guy has coached a very good defense. So that's an idea there, but they're working a different angle on that one. Bengals offensive coordinator Dan Pitcher was also interviewed. He does not call plays either. Because Taylor, the head coach, calls plays. So it's the same logic as, all right, keep the pressure off of a head coach calling their own play. Now, offensive guys tend to like to jump in and call their plays. So he might change his mind and say, well, if I'm head coach, I don't want to call my plays because I never got the chance to call plays before. So that might be something that may happen, but the Bengals have a solid top 10 offense the past few years. Browns coordinators Tommy Rees and Jim Schwartz were the first ones to also interview for the position. And I did hear Rees is a dark horse candidate to get it. So I did hear that's something they're
Well, I don't believe in to keep it. You're gonna make changes. You do it out of the organization. Start a whole new start. You start taking guys that were coaches in Cleveland. They're gonna bring the habits that they had when the old coaches were there. And it didn't work. So start from scratch. Go out and get a new head coach. Go out and get new assistant coaches. And get rid of our director or whatever. Get rid of Barry.
Barry's gonna stay.
I know.
I'm down to
Barry's
keep
got
Schwartz.
something on Haslam. I'm sorry. I canned him a long time ago.
Here's one I have told people. I think Haslam because Barry has a son. The 1 year, because you remember there was a gap. There was one season Barry was with us before he was GM, and he left and went to the Eagles. And then when they fired Hugh Jackson, Freddie Kitchens and Ken Dorsey, he then went and got Barry back. And they were saying like that year Barry wasn't there. They said Haslam seemed kind of sad and lonely without him. Like he kind of just walked around, kind of just.
He's had some good drafts, but he's also had some horrible drafts.
I'm hearing an interesting rumor, Bob. Last offseason, Barry killed it last offseason. He did. He had a great offseason, a great draft, everything. I'm hearing that was the first offseason DePodesta did not get involved. They let Barry fully do what he wanted to do, and because DePodesta sounded like he was headed out, which he did. He went to Colorado Rockies, and there's suspicion DePodesta over-interfered with certain moves and draft picks, and not all of them, because there's some guys we know for a fact. Barry definitely drafted Martin Emerson. He knows the defensive side of the ball. There were some guys on the offensive side of the ball. Stefanski had some say in too, but there was some like the Watson move, that was strictly Haslam and DePodesta. It came out, Stefanski told him, "I rather you don't do that." That came out after he got fired. He told him, "I don't like the idea." He didn't want it done. Barry gave his best offer. They turned it down. He was walking away, and it was Haslam. DePodesta said, "Call them again. Throw this on the table." And they ruined everything. So
it was a bad move.
It was a horrible move, So I'll defend the Bears. There's one other guy that's getting interviewed for the head coach job we have to bring up. Have you ever heard of Nate Shilhassi?
No.
Okay. Rams pass game coordinator. Because the Rams have such a good offensive coaching staff consistently, this is the second time a pass game coordinator has been interviewed for a high position. The guy he replaced ended up being offensive coordinator for the Falcons the past couple years. Now Morris got fired.
I'm trying to figure out what is a pass game coordinator.
They work with the routing and the receivers and everything like that. So he's getting a head coach interview. This is a head coach interview. So this is somebody off of let me see the McVay Rams coach coaching tree. And, I mean, he's had some very bright minds under his coaching tree, so there you go. Kevin Stefanski, what has he been up to since they've been fired? He's interviewed for the Giants. He interviewed for the Ravens. The Ravens did bring him in there. The Titans have a scheduled interview with him. The Falcons have a scheduled interview with him. And the Titans have a... Did I say that already? Giants and Titans have a scheduled interview with him. So
he ain't gonna be out of a job for a while.
No, he'll get a head coach job. So it's just where I'm curious if Miami's going to now. And so as far as coach searches this week, there's another name we have to bring to the table, Bob. And you were talking about it on break about this. No way this happens. John Harbaugh will eventually. They haven't selected a date or announced a date yet. He will interview with the Cleveland Browns, and this is the biggest name out there. Okay, and so would he come to Cleveland? He grew up in a Cleveland Browns family, both him and his brother Jim. Okay. There are some attractive pieces in Cleveland. Okay.
So he's been through the rough times like us.
Right. Well, when he grew up, they were good. But so there's the pros and cons with this. Like, why would Jim do it? Okay. One pros. This guy's a hell of a coach. Very good. He's a winner.
He's a great coach.
He won a Super Bowl against his brother. He would go against the Ravens and get his revenge twice a year, maybe 3 times if they meet in the playoffs. If he can take us to the playoffs, if he can't fix us, I don't know who can. And again, this is a guy that he's worked with plenty of talent. Okay, my opinion is he wasn't the problem in Baltimore. Baltimore's front office after Ozzie Newsome retired started having some bad drafts. There was drafts I walked away and said, man, they walked away with all this good and I'm not saying all bad people will pick 1, 2, 3 picks. I'm not saying all bad picks. I'm saying bad overall drafts. And it's haunted them, okay? They are not the same front office. It's like the Steelers, right? Like, okay, yeah, they're in the playoffs. But Steelers fans will tell you this is not the same team we've seen in the past 10 years, 12 years. Because the new front office has not done as good, okay? So I don't think he was the problem, and he was let go because they wanted him to change the offensive and defensive coordinators, and he said, no, I like who I have. Let's just build on what we have, and they did not like that, so they let him go. Here's where the cons come in, okay? It's not even the money thing. Haslam's got money. If he can give Watson a big contract, he can give a proven head coach a contract. That's not the problem. He might want his entire staff back. Okay. Now they did say he likes Tommy Rees and Jim Schwartz and has history with them. So Browns might be the only team with the exception where he keeps the coordinators. Rumor has it he wants to pick his own front office. Well, there's Andrew Berry there. Okay, so that might be a problem too.
It ain't gonna happen.
It might be Josh McDaniels all over again, where they sit down. He wants to be here. They want him here. And Haslam just goes, man, I'm just not going to give you that power. I'm just not going to give you that. The difference is Harbaugh is a proven good head coach. McDaniels really wasn't. So that ended up being one of Haslam's better moves to just let him walk. But so it's not a month. The other thing too, Bob, is he might want to go to the NFC because they want another Harbaugh Super Bowl. And with Jim coming back and being on an AFC, see, Jim was with the Niners when they met in the Super Bowl. He's with the Chargers now. John, the Giants are sitting there interested. Most of the teams that have a vacant is the AFC. The Packers are going to keep LaFleur. That was big because if LaFleur would have went, Harbaugh probably would have went to the Packers in a heartbeat because his agent is the president's son. And he's got a house in Upper Wisconsin. But they're keeping LaFleur.
Well,
okay? So, the Giants look, and the other thing is people might wait because if the Bills don't make it to the Super Bowl, Bob, they may cut McDermott, and that's a very sexy position for Harbaugh to go to there. So, but he will interview with the Browns eventually. You might know about it by now by the time you hear this, but that's where we're at there. So, hey, we're out of time. Thank you for returning, Bob. Thank you, producer Bob, for your work. Next week, we'll talk about our high school game matchup of that week. We will talk about the Browns head coach search. I doubt they'll hire anybody by the time we get back, but we'll get to it. But the Zips and Buckeyes basketball, we'll talk about that. Anything the football teams add. Cleveland Guardians and MLB Hot Stove will get a little hotter next week. And then we'll talk about our Cleveland Cavaliers, of course. So with all that being said, I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
Go Cavs, Zips, and Buckeyes on the hard floor, and we'll be back next week.